Chris Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here previewing Auburn and San Jose State for this weekend. We are continuing our preview series of all SEC games. Blake, Auburn won its opener last week in a fashion about what we expected against Mercer. San Jose State got a win over Portland State, which is an FCS team. Auburn is a 22.5-point favorite with an over-under of 50.5 in this one.
Yep, I think you just want to see Auburn continue to get better. Like I said, a fine win against Mercer, but I think there was clearly a lot of things that they'd like to do better, and specifically, I think see how things pass. Think how things progress in the passing game. I think will be a big thing. Moving forward, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But when you get up 28-0 like they did in that game, and we're pretty much on cruise control, the running game is going to be kind of your go-to there. But I think as we'll see, how does the passing game continue to develop? That will be probably something that we watch this game moving forward for Auburn. Everything else, San Jose State sneaks by Portland State in game one and wasn't that impressive doing so, where they scored a touchdown with like a minute left to win that game, come from behind. Their offensive numbers weren't great, especially on the ground. I don't even think they hit 50 yards rushing. I think they were. So this should be an Auburn win. I don't have a lot of doubt about that, but I think the biggest things for Auburn is just to see how they handle some of those things. Again, how does the passing game continue to develop? Otherwise, I think again they'll be able to run the ball effectively, pass rush. I think those are the kind of things you want to see from Auburn in this kind of game.
Well, let's talk about when Auburn's got the ball, because there's a lot of things going on here. I think Auburn is going to try to run it a lot. I mean, that's going to be Auburn's identity. Portland State ran it for 3.6 a carry last week against San Jose State, but Auburn is a much different animal, to say the least. You've also got the quarterback situation here. Auburn played two guys last week, Finley and Ashford. Ashford ran the ball really well. So I could see Auburn running the ball a lot under a couple different circumstances. I think that's what Auburn's going to want to do. No surprise. I don't think you'll see anything fancy, although Auburn could choose to maybe see what it can do in the passing game in this one, because I think it needs to get some answers there too, Blake.
Yeah, I don't think San Jose State's necessarily a strong pass defense. Looking back at their numbers specifically from last year, that does seem like something where you can exploit that area perhaps this season in this type of game. But like you mentioned, though, I think the strength of Auburn is the running game. We know that that's what they're going to try to do, and you would be shocked otherwise, because that's just what they do well. And I think you kind of look at that. But San Jose State, if you're just kind of comparing it to the Mountain West specifically, I think their defensive line, kind of looking at it and kind of doing the research for this game, that's a good group that seemingly will be able to get in the backfield some. So I think that's something too, especially when you look at the passing game. So, but still, everything to me, it's going to come down to Auburn should be able to run the ball effectively. Will they run it as effectively as they did against Mercer? I don't know about that specifically, but we know that they have the potential to run all over a lot of teams, and I think this will be another opportunity. But this is going to be one where you wouldn't be surprised if Auburn has to try to pass the ball a bit. And I think that's where we, perhaps see some of those questions answered, because I think this is a team you'll be able to pass on. It's just, will it be necessary, or will we just kind of see, Tank do his thing and Auburn just kind of run behind and stroll to an easy win?
Yeah, and they've got Jarquez Hunter, too, who's been a good back for them since he's been on campus. This is his second year, so they got plenty in the tank, no pun intended. So, in any case, we got some big games coming up this week in the SEC. To add a little extra excitement, we at Southeastern 14 went ahead and made some predictions in the Stakes app. You can see we've made 3 already involving this game. We want to hear from you guys. And by the way, you can check that out, playwithstakes.com/14. You can sign up there, make your predictions on our 3 questions, one of which I put in there TJ Finley and Robbie Ashford, who accounts for more yards of total offense in this one. That could be interesting. It was interesting a week ago. Use our invite code Southeastern14. When you sign up, you'll get a double welcome bonus, and you'll really enjoy this app. It's fun, and again, it is all free. Okay, when San Jose State has the ball, their quarterback is Siobhan Cordero, who transferred from Hawaii. I saw him play in person last year, and I thought when I watched him, this kid is a handful. Last week, he was 15 of 30 for 239 and a score, but there's a big problem, Blake. They couldn't protect. That offensive line was kind of a wreck last week. It averaged 1.7 per carry. He got sacked 7 times. I think the strength of Auburn is going to be that front seven, and they've got guys who can get after it. And if I'm San Jose State, I'm very worried about protecting Siobhan Cordero.
Yeah, if you have struggle protecting against Portland State, you're going to have some issues protecting against Auburn, I think. That to me, you said it. That was what I was going to go to first. Like that's the difference in a game like this, in my opinion. Is I think Auburn will be able to get into the backfield, and yes, he can run. He's a dual threat quarterback, but he's going to be running a lot. I think in this game, trying to stay away from Auburn, and that's where I think San Jose State is going to probably understand that. Like we mentioned, where they had, I think, 29 carries for 49 yards last week rushing against Portland State. I don't think that's going to be there in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if that number is very similar or lower. So they're going to have to get the ball down the field somehow. But if your quarterback is all over the place, that will make it much tougher. So that is where I think Auburn will be able to dictate this game, probably force some turnovers. I know San Jose State didn't turn over last week, but again, there's a big difference in terms of the playmaking ability, I think, of Auburn's defense and Portland State's defense. Not to knock the other, but we've talked about this Auburn defense and what they're capable of. So, yes, I think you will likely see Auburn, perhaps get a score from their defense. If not, they will put their offense in a position to have a much easier time, I think, scoring on San Jose State. So that is the big thing. I think Auburn will push them around up front and probably had a really good opportunity to make things very tough on this offense, both on the ground and in the air.
Cordero had what had to be one of the stat lines of the week last week running the ball, Blake. Get ready for this.
I know. I've already looked at it. I knew you were going to bring it up, so I was going to set you up for this one because this is it's wild. Like this is, I don't know how you do this, but it is possible, I guess.
Well, this is called your offensive line cannot pass protect. He ran 14 times for 0 net yards, 2 touchdowns, and a long of 32.
2 touchdowns. Yes. There you go. There's your stat line. If you're an Auburn fan, focus on that. 14 carries, no yards, 2 touchdowns, but a long of 32. All over the board there. But I don't know if we put up that same stat line. I think the 2 touchdowns may be difficult, but it's going to be a challenge, I think, unless San Jose State has really figured something out on the offensive line heading into this game.
All right, we may need to put up a prop bet and stakes on Auburn sacks. And if you set the over/under, what maybe 5, 6?
I was going to say, I think 6 is what I would put it at.
Okay, we might have to put that in the app.
There's one.
People one more thing.
Play with Stakes. Click or get that link there. Playwithstakes.com /14. We're going to put the Auburn prop bet in there, Auburn fans.
Okay, wrapping up here. Auburn, a 22.5-point favorite, 50.5-point over/under. By my math, that means the predicted final here is roughly 36-14 Auburn. I don't know how I feel about the over/under in this one. I kind of leaning over, but I really feel pretty good about Auburn not just winning, but covering that number.
Yep, I would take Auburn minus the 22.5. I think that, like I said, I think there are still some things for Auburn to work out for themselves offensively, but I don't
when you
feel
can
like
run the ball the way they can.
I feel like they can, and even though, like we said, I think the strength of the San Jose State defense is going to be on the defensive line specifically, and maybe getting into the backfield a little bit, but I just feel like Auburn's going to be able to do what they want. Again, I don't expect Auburn maybe to put up 50 or anything in this game, but I also worry that San Jose State is not going to be able to score and drive down the field efficiently. So, I'll take Auburn in the points here.
Yeah, if San Jose State challenges Auburn in this game, I'll be very surprised. Okay, we are previewing or will preview every SEC game Remember to visit our partner at Stakes, have some fun. It is free, and we'll see you again shortly.